Hey there everyone, this is Mystic Fish and welcome to episode 4 of our Factorio series where we are building a cellular megabase. Last time around we built these nifty state machines to track the state of various train stations. And one of the things that is super cool is that one of our viewers, Carl Katagut, I hope I said that right, but Carl wrote in and said, there's actually an easier way to track this by using the train count on the station. And so actually what Carl proposed was so much simpler that I thought, let's see how this works so we can figure this out. So over here, the idea is what we're going to do is we're going to enable or disable the station. And so let's assume this is the iron ore station. And let's see, let's give it some demand for iron ore. So we'll say off. And then if we connect this, that should disable this station. Disable by control behavior. Okay. Next thing is read train count. So this reads the number of trains going to this particular train stop, including the stopped train, which is great. This is actually directly the thing that we were trying to do with that state machine. So I have that hooked up here so that we can see the C signal coming out, which there isn't one right yet. Let's see. And then Carl also suggested that what we do is we set the train limit automatically. Let's do this like so. L. Whoops, why didn't that work? L. Thank you for limit. This is currently off, so that's okay. I'm going to set train limit, so that sets the limit to 0, so no trains can come in, so that's okay. And then finally, I'm going to add one additional signal just for the little experiment that I want to run, which is I am going to give a little green go signal here, passed in, and I'm going to send that along to the train. We need to read the train count that's going to come out on C. I guess we should check. There is no C's here. This we're going to use in a minute. Okay, so here's what we want to do. So I have named these stations. This is station 1 and station 2. So I want to set a schedule where this is going to go to station 1. We're going to wait until I see a go signal. That will allow us to simulate sort of pausing to unload stuff, and then I'm going to go to station 2. Okay, so that's what we want to do. And as you can see, we currently cannot do that because this train station is disabled and the train limit is 0. So yeah, both of those reasons, we cannot get a train in here. So let's, and I want to do one more thing here, which is I want to set up an extra signal here. And I want to be able to give it a stop signal and to control this train signal. So I'm going to say close this signal, meaning make it red, if I get a red signal coming in, right? And so we can see the red light is on this, this station here. Okay, so let's run a couple of experiments here. So the first thing we're going to do is by default, we're going to have the limit being on. Okay, so now we have a train limit of 1, but we're still disabled because we have no demand, which means we still can't get where we're trying to go. Okay, so let's turn the demand on. That enables the train stop, and now this is a possible place to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and go. We're going to stop here. Let's take a look. We're now going. We see a count of 1 because this train is currently scheduled to arrive here, and we see a 1 even though it still hasn't arrived yet. So that is good stuff. Now, I want to also experiment a little bit. So one of the things Carl suggested is, hey, if we see any positive counts, meaning there's a train scheduled to come in or a train at one of the stations, then we should actually dynamically set the limit again. And so, so now let's take a look at this. The train limit is 0, but because this guy was already scheduled, he can still get there. So that's good. On the other hand, if the demand goes away, like this, now the train stop is disabled and we can't get there anymore. So one of the things we're going to have to make sure is that when we have a train scheduled in, because we have demand for something, that the demand doesn't go away before the train arrives. Now, I think that's okay because, let's say we're short on iron ore. The only way we can get more iron ore is for this train to actually arrive, assuming it's carrying iron ore, to arrive and unload. So I think it's okay. We're never going to have a demand that goes away while something is en route. So that's good to know. On the other hand, what we do want is we want to set the limits of everything to 0, as we have here. Train limit 0, and the idea is that we will watch for this count. Why? Oh, because we've moved on. Here we go. We're gonna destination full. Oh, I need to turn this on again and off again. Okay, now I'm back where I was. Okay, so I got a train scheduled to come in. I can allow it to come in. It's arrived at the station. I still see the count, so that's good stuff. And so it's going to be waiting. Now, the normal schedule will be something like, hey, wait until you're empty. And so just to see how this goes, I'm going to let this continue, and now we no longer see a C here anymore. So this is actually great. This is going to work super well. Enabling, disabling the stations when we need a resource, manipulating the train limits dynamically, but in response to counting and watching if there's a train scheduled to come in, and then not letting anybody else come in. Now, the one caveat here is that I think it's possible to still enable 2 trains at the same time, and that would be if we actually had demand for 2 resources at the same time that whatever train was currently in there left. Then I think both of them could actually schedule to come in. Then they would set everything else to 0. But that's actually not exactly what we want. So I think the other thing that we have to make sure is that we're only sending a demand for 1 resource, at most 1 resource at a time, which fortunately I was planning on doing anyway. But this is actually great. So we are going to do this because it vastly simplifies what we have to do here. And so thanks again to Carl, because while it's like super fun to figure stuff out like this, I would much rather have a much simpler thing to maintain than a more complicated one. Just be easier to inspect and debug. So here is the deal. We're going to connect all 4 of these stations and plug them in to a circuit network here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to enable and disable. This is the iron ore. So here we're going to say, if I have a demand for iron ore, I'm going to set the train limit automatically. It's going to be L. It's currently, nobody's putting an L in here, so that explains why it's a 0. And then we're going to read the train count, and that's going to come out on C. I think we no longer need to read the train contents. So that is good. So then we can do the same thing, set the train limit, read the train count. This is the copper station, so we're going to enable it if I have a demand for copper. All right, let's do train limit, train count, if we have a demand for coal, and then finally, train limit, train count, we have demand for stone. Okay, so that's all going to be in there. Now the suggestion is, and Carl suggested this as well, that right now these all have a limit of 0, and I haven't forgotten about the fluid ones up top. We'll get to those in a minute. And what Carl suggested is, hey, you know what? Just put in a default limit of 1. for everybody. Because that will let any station potentially be scheduled, right? And so now they all have a station limit of 1. So that's good stuff. Now they're all disabled because we don't have any demand signals coming in, but that's okay. And then the last bit that we do is we say we got an arithmetic combinator, and we're going to read C. We're going to multiply that by -1. So if there's at least one station that has something scheduled for it, then C will be a positive number. We multiply by -1, that makes it a negative number. L is at most 1, so any 1 plus any negative number is going to be 0 or less. And so that's going to automatically, as soon as a train gets scheduled, it's going to set L back to 0. And that is super cool. And so that is it. Look at that. We went from like all of those combinators down to just these two, which is like super cool. So thanks again to Carl for explaining how to do that in the comments. That is good stuff. Okay, so then we can get rid of this business and this business. And we get the green wires into here. And we need to update these. So this is the oil one. So we're going to set a train limit. We're going to read the train count, and you're going to be enabled if we have a demand for oil. Okay, and then we're going to set the train limit, read the train count, and you're going to be enabled if we have a demand for water. Cool beans. That is super cool. All right. Now, the next thing we needed to figure out is, okay, when do we actually need stuff? And so we're going to do some calculations over here as a way to populate the demand back into the system. So one of the things we do not need currently is this train. So let's get rid of it. And we need to, we need to read the contents of all these tanks. So we'll just wire all the tanks together. And it's okay that we're wiring the oil and the water together because we actually just want total contents of stuff that we have. Okay. Now, how do we figure out how much we need of stuff? So I think the way that we're going to do this is we have 6 resources. So let's see. Let me get rid of this guy. Oh, that was one thing I wanted to check. How far back can we put this one? And still have 4 on the straightaway. I can't see what I'm doing. All right. 2, 2, 2, 2. Here we go. Okay. So I can put you as far back as that. And so the main thing I want to check is no matter where I offload this stuff, it will be, if I get rid of this one. Okay, good. So this is the initial builder train that will unload the stuff to build the cell, and that will be within range of this Roboport's logistic network. So when I instantiate the cell, actually all I need is the basic herringbone plus just this track here and this Roboport. And so we'll use just one large power pole to set it up. Okay, great. That means that I can feel free to use a substation. Yes. Put a substation here. Because this guy can go, I guess, this far forward for the builder train that we're going to be powering. So why or do you have no power? You have no power because I think we have to move this over. No, that still doesn't reach that. You know what? I'll just put this here. That connects everything. Put this back. Okay. Right, so we have 6 resources. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to, for each one, actually let's scooch this down a little bit. And I'm gonna need one of these. Okay, so for each one, what we want to know is how much do we want in here? And so we have 16 tanks of water. So 16 tanks times 25,000. That's too many thousands. Okay, so that's 400,000. So I want 400,000 water, and so I'm going to mark that like this. I'm going to actually say minus 400,000. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the tank readings into this guy. Okay, so now what this will do, what we want to do here is we want to take water, which will actually add whatever water we have in here plus the negative 400,000, and so that will leave us with a negative number, which is how much spare capacity that we have in here. And so what we want to do is we want to then divide this by the size of a fluid train. So one fluid train can carry 200,000 units of water. And here we're going to output water, okay? And let's see, we need to put our sort of capacities in here. And so what this says is we currently need 2 trainloads of water. That's that 2 coming out here. So that's good stuff. Okay, next, we want to do the same thing for oil. Oil, we can just do the exact same thing because it is also a fluid, and so we also, why are we only getting, oh, because I didn't do this. We need this. Okay, now we say we also want 2 trainloads of oil. Okay, next up, we're going to connect to the roboport here and read the logistic network contents. And so right now, what is it? There's actually stuff in the logistics network here, which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure where it is. That's okay, but anyway, this will tell us how much stuff we have in all the chests. And now the idea is that, okay, so how much is a train load? So a train car has 40 slots, cargo wagon. There are 50 ore in each slot, and then we have 8 cars. And so that is the size of a train load. And so if we want, let's say, 3 train loads in here, then we need 48,000 of each mineral. So that means we can do, and we'll do it negative again, minus 48,000 for iron ore, minus 48,000 for copper, minus 48,000 for coal, and minus 48,000 for stone. And then here, what we want is we want to take, actually let's do this in the same order that the stations are at. So the stone one is the last one. Now we're going to divide by 16,000. That's a train load. We're going to output stone. So we don't have any stone, and we should be input signals. Oh, because we did not connect the demand in. This says that we want 2 train loads. Why is that? It is because somewhere there is a stone somewhere in the logistics network here. Which heck if I can see where that is. Interesting. I wonder if it's this. Oh, turn that off. If we clear out the trash here, maybe that takes it out of the logistics network. Okay, now I got nothing in the... All right, so it was my own trash. Okay, good to know. All right, so now I want 3 train loads of stone. Okay, good. That's what we want. And so then we just do the same thing for each of the other resources. So this is going to be coal and coal. This is going to be copper and copper. And this is going to be iron and iron. Okay, so we want 3 train loads of everything. Okay, now, one of the things that I want to do here is I want to grab all of these signals, and I want to say anything for anything each greater than 0, output each. Okay, so this, just in case we end up with negative numbers in here because we have too much of something, that should read this as 0. Okay, so I think that means there's all of our demands, and just to check that that works as we think. So for example, if I have a million bajillion coal, lots of coal, then I'm getting a negative 59 here, so that's okay. And then, but it's screening it out up here. So that's good. That's actually, do we want that? We actually want this for everything. So I'm gonna move this guy down here. We're gonna say each, no, that's not each greater than 0, output each. Okay, so that gets rid of, if we have surplus, we will not see it in here. Okay, then so this is the raw demand in train loads. And so what I'm also going to do is I'm going to feed this over here, and I'm going to plug it into the red network. So you may have noticed that the core herringbone pattern, we've got green and red wires all around the outsides. And so we actually have a global circuit network. And my current plan is to use that to track overall resource usage and demand. And so my current thought is we'll put demand onto the red wire. So that's how many train loads somebody is asking for. And when we have, when we are producing raw materials, we'll put the supply of it on the green wire. And then somewhere else, maybe we'll build a brain cell or something. We'll be able to make a nice little dashboard that will tell us sort of, are we over or under producing the raw materials? Okay. Right, so this is good stuff. Now, this is the raw demand. The next thing that I want to do is I want to take that same number here, but I want to say each, if it's greater than 0, I just want 1 of it. Okay, so if I need any iron ore, even though I need 3, I only want a 1 here. And that's because we're going to do some multiplication and arithmetic with it. All right, so really I just want to know, do I need any of these things at all? And so in this case, yes, I need at least some of everything. So that is good stuff. Okay, next up, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little fun with bitwise arithmetic. So I'm going to feed the same thing in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want 1 times water. And if so, I'm going to output D for sort of the aggregate demand. Okay, and so if I have a 1 here, then then this is doing 1 times the 1 for the water, and I should be getting a 1 out, which I am. Okay, now for this one, I'm going to change this. This one's going to be 2, and this is going to be times oil. And I'm also going to output D. Okay, so that is, I do need an oil, so I'm getting a 2 for the D. And so on. So then this one is going to be 4. We're going to work powers of 2 here. 4 times stone, output D. This is going to be 8 times coal, output D. This is going to be 16 times copper, output D. And then this is going to be 32 times iron, output D. Okay, so the idea is that we're going to have D is going to be a number, and each binary digit in D is going to represent a different resource here. And so if we wire these all together, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So if we put all of these together, okay, and then just so we can look at it, let's see what we're getting here. So we add all the D's together and we get 63, which is basically, that is equal to 6 binary digits of 1s on the lower order bits. And so don't really have to understand exactly how that works. But now here is the thing. We want to make sure that there is only one resource being demanded. And so it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to say iron is going to have the highest priority, and then copper the second highest, and so on. So if I need any iron, I'm going to ask for iron. And I can only ask for copper if I don't need any iron, right? And I can only ask for coal if I don't need any copper or any iron, right? And so on all down the line. So the water is actually the lowest priority thing here. And let's move this along here. Okay, so now, when do I want this to be true if water is eligible. So that is only true if D is less than 2. Then I'm going to output D. Okay, right now we see the aggregate demand D is 63. It is not less than 2, so we're getting no output signal here, which is what we expect. Okay, so I'm going to copy these down the rest of the way. This is going to be 4. This is going to be, right, because the way it works is if this is 4 or higher, then that means that we are requesting one of these higher priority things, right? So that has to be 4. This needs to be 8. This needs to be 16. This needs to be 32. And then finally, this needs to be 64. Okay, so no output here. So the only one with an output is in fact this one. All the rest of them, and that's because the higher order bit of the iron is set here in this. And so, or in other words, the bit that represents 32 has been set here. And so that means that that D is at least 32, which means all of these tests are going to be false. And so this is the only one that is currently true. Okay, then the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to connect these. Okay, so so if we have anything in D here, that means water is eligible, potentially eligible, because we don't need anything of higher priority. However, we may not need water. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take water That's not water, that's water. And then we're going to AND it with 1, and then we're going to output water. Okay, then for this, we're going to take oil, and we're going to AND it with 2. We're going to output oil. For this, we're going to take stone, AND it with 4, and output the stone. We're going to take coal and 8. So this AND is checking whether the 8-bit is set, basically. Then this is going to be copper and 16. Output copper. And then this is going to be iron and 32. Output. Okay, so anybody want to guess what we get out on this side? So we know that we shouldn't get any demand out here, and so we do need these guys plugged back in over here. So we also need these demands here plugged into these. Okay, so we are getting a 1 here. Why is that the case? That was not what we wanted. Whoops. Killed too much stuff. Okay, this is less than 8. This should be less than 4. And this should be less than 2. All right, let's see if we get this right now. Okay, sorry. Yes, we don't need to link it back. Okay, so for this, we're going to take D. Here we go. D and 1. And then we're going to output water. So basically, if 1 is currently set and we're eligible, then we should get something out here, which we did not, which is actually what we want. Okay, so here we go. Let's connect these. So the idea is that we're setting the bits here based on the demand. We're then filtering them out so that only the highest priority one exists. And then after that, we're reading the remaining bits back out. So we'll do this. Okay, so D and 2 will be oil. And D and 4 will be stone. And D and 8 will be coal. And D and 16 will be copper. And D and 32 will be not copper, iron. All right, now I'm still not getting anything out here. What did I mess up? Oh, I lost my bridge here. That's why. All right, now I'm getting the iron signal through, but nothing else. Okay, so let's just for funsies, let's put in a bajillion. Let's put in a lot of iron. And now what I'm getting at is I see the copper demand. So this is cool. This is actually what we want here. So now the last thing that we need to do is then we can take all of these outputs and feed them back into the train system. Okay. Right. And so we see the limit is 1, and we want iron. Okay, so that means you should be disabled, you're disabled, you're disabled. What's going on down here? Disabled, 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 and you should be enabled. Everybody's got a train limit of 1, so that's good. Let's do a quick experiment. Let's put a stop sign in the middle here. Please do a stop. stop. It's on. You should close the signal if you see the stop. All right, then put a train up here. We can send you to the iron. Oh, excuse me, I had to sneeze there for a second. And then, where are you gonna go after that? Then you can just wait for 30 seconds, fine. Okay, so let's go. Oh, it would help if I put fuel in. All right, you're gonna stop there. Let's take a look. Now, all of your stops are 0. So that's good. In fact, even your limit is 0, but do we have a train count? That's a question. Yes, we have 1 train is still going here. We still have the demand because we haven't dropped off the mythical stuff we're delivering. So let's take this off. Now, you're still stopped here, so the count is still 1. And then we can move on, right? So if I send this back around, or just further down. Now, this is back enabled for the next guy to come around. So that is actually working. Oh, now it just got scheduled, and it's coming back in. Fun. All right, let's pick you up. Do more stuff. Okay, so that is it. That is cool stuff. All right, and then one of the things that occurs to me is it would be really nice if we had a way to disengage all of, like we had an on-off switch for the cell. And so I think the way that we can do that is as follows. We can do this. I'm going to say this is the on-off switch. So let's give it a power switch. The logo there. And so the power is on. And then I think what we want is, actually, what do we want here? Okay, we can actually do the following. This will be nifty. All right, we're gonna put this in here. No, that's not what I want. Okay. Here's what I want. I just want I want a decider combinator. And what I want is, if the power switch is off, less than or equal to 0, then I'm just gonna output a C. I'm gonna feed this back in here. Okay, we can see we have a demand for iron ore, that green one, and we have a limit of 1, and then if I turn this off, that didn't work. This is outputting a C. Oh, right, the limits are all 0. That's right. I was like, what is going on there? Oh, yeah. The C is 1, but the limits are all 0. Okay, so that's nice. So that gives us a nice little on-off switch for the whole cell, which I think I don't know, but it may be useful to have that so that we can just sort of shut stuff down at some point if we need to, where we can just pause all the activity that's going on in the cell. And so that includes, let's not have any new trains coming in or going out. And in fact, for that reason, I think one of the things that we want to do is we also want to put a train stop here. And then we can control it like this. And here we want to say close the signal if the power switch is off. Okay, so that's green. So that will let builder trains go out. That is fine. What else do we want here? I think it would be, I guess we could have a builder train, an empty builder train come in, which is fine because it's just going to load here. And then maybe we'll disable some other stuff with it, but we'll make sure it doesn't leave. And so, although, you know, like it also occurs to me that we could also, well, do we want this? I guess it's okay. I guess we always want the train to come back here. All right, so I was considering, do we want to disable this station for the builder train, but I think we don't, because I think the way this is going to work is the trains will always have a parking space, which is the place where they were created, and each cell is going to create a new builder train. And so this will be the home parking spot. Or, I mean, they may switch cells back and forth, but there will always be a place for them to park, and so we need to leave this open. So I think that's okay. We'll just prevent it from leaving if it needs to. So, okay, I think that is actually a train mutex system, where we really are just requesting one resource. We're getting exactly one train in at a time. And we're also reading our demand out onto the global circuit network. So that's pretty fun. That's a pretty good episode. I'm pretty happy with that. What is going to be next? Well, we've not yet talked about the builder train stuff very much. And so we will need to work on that. We may also want to come down and look a little bit about what is mining going to look like, and see what that looks like. In fact, and so I don't know. We'll see. If you have preferences for what we want to do next, either looking at sort of builder train sort of bootstrapping stuff, or looking at mining. If you have some preferences or thoughts, please give us some thoughts in the comment section. But otherwise, these will be problems for future Mystic Fish. So as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, bye.